few moments, I'll be joined by Melat, Kiros, candidate for U.S. House of Representatives in Colorado 1. It's Denver, D+29 district. She's an Ethiopian immigrant, a DSA member, endorsed by Sunrise, Justice Dems, and Denver DSA. Welcome to the broadcast. We're just gonna watch your campaign ad real quick. I don't know if it's awkward for you to rewatch it. It's like hearing your own voice. Are you used to hearing your own voice yet?
No, not at all.
Oh, okay. That was a big. Yeah, it's been like 13 years since I've been doing this, so I'm super used to it. But I still remember when I first started, I was like, oh my God,
this is weird.
This is what I sound like. It's fucking terrible. This is what I look like.
It doesn't sound anything. The facial movements I make that I did not realize until I'm on camera now.
You spoiled it.
Gross. I'm a lawyer, an immigrant raised in Denver, and I'm running for Congress because establishment Democrats have failed us. Diana DeGette has been in office for decades, backed by the same billionaires and corporations who keep our prices high, burn our planet, and profit from genocide. It's time for a change. It's time for Medicare for all. It's time to abolish ICE and to actually fight back against Donald Trump.
Damn. It's good. It's powerful. Yeah? All right, you can bring it now. Wow, we got a gift for you. Hannah cooked it already, but these are... Here you go.
Thank you.
Here, we have a policy of bringing
this is so cool.
Some of the guests' favorite things.
Oh my gosh.
When they join the broadcast.
I love these chips.
Yeah, you're vegan, right?
I'm vegetarian now.
Vegetarian now. Okay.
Yeah, until this campaign is over.
Wait, what happened? What made you start eating eggs?
I was starving. Okay. I didn't have time to cook my food. I needed to eat. I was starting to get really lightheaded a lot at events and stuff. So I was like, all right, let me just put in some dairy. Airports are actually like deserts. So
you've cooked the vegans in the chat. They're gonna lose their minds
know.
Now.
I'm sorry,
like,
y'all. I'm a traitor. I'm a traitor.
How can we trust you, Melat?
I'm sorry.
You're no longer fully vegan. Downside
until the campaign is over.
No more meat.
It's over. Sorry, everybody.
This is the real Green New Deal. They were saying like AOC is gonna take your burgers away, but Melat's gonna take your. Okay, we should stop writing
all the Oppo
we should
for my
stop writing
for my
all
ops.
the Oppo,
yeah, let's not.
Oppo ads. But yeah, the year before Melat's family immigrated from Ethiopia to America, Melat was famously fired for law firms in 2023 for refusing to take down a letter defending student protesters and criticizing Israel's genocide in Gaza, which advocated for a one-state solution. This principled stand led her to run for Congress, where she's become a part of a new wave of anti-war candidates endorsed by the Sunrise Movement and also Justice Democrats. This was they found the Denver study by the Colorado Polling Institute, Chatters did, that say a bare majority of voters say things in Denver are headed in the right direction, but 41% saying that it's not headed in the wrong direction, in the total wrong track. In Denver, 52% say they're for socialism and only 48% say they're for capitalism. So I think it's time that Denver gets more responsive politics and maybe more radical, I guess, which is the majority. It's not radical, right?
It's not radical.
At that point, it's not considered radical. It's considered radical by the party, unfortunately. How did your parents feel when you lost your job for speaking out? Were they like, what the hell are you doing?
Well,
why did we put you through law school? What's wrong with you?
Well, and that's exactly why I called my parents before I posted the article. Like, I didn't think everybody was going to receive this letter well, right? I knew I was going to piss some people off, and specifically because I had been working for like a decade to become a lawyer up until that point. I don't know. My dad's whole point of coming here and immigrating was so that I would have choices in a way that he didn't. And he was like, you're speaking out on genocide. And that's something that we witnessed ourselves in Ethiopia with the civil war that happened a few years ago. And, to not speak out when I have the privilege to, like, I didn't have kids, I didn't have a partner. I knew I'd be able to go back home if I really needed to and figure out my next steps in a way that a lot of people couldn't. And it felt like, I had a responsibility to say something in that moment.
So in November 2023, you wrote an article called The Paradox of Inclusivity, Diversity, Equity, and the Suppression of Dissent, in which you draw parallels between the horrors of the Tigray genocide that affected much of your own family. Don't look at the questions.
It's right there.
You're cheating. You're cheating. Don't look at the questions. That's cheating. Okay.
I'll eat my chips.
Of the Tigray genocide that affected much of your own family, with Israel's then looming genocide of the Palestinians. with the privilege of hindsight, how do you view the shared struggle between the Tigray, the Palestinians, and even the indigenous Americans in your home district who have all fallen victim to imperial conquest?
Yeah, I mean, that was largely why I wrote it in the first place. I remember like being 12 years old and doing some kind of project in social studies, and I saw that map of 1946 and then the UN partition and then, you know, up to 2008. I'm like, this is colonialism. Like, it's pretty clear cut, pretty obvious. But seeing so many other people have a completely different perspective looking at it, and I'm like, what? I don't understand where the disconnect is here, especially when I was seeing a lot of, you know, the rhetoric from Netanyahu, from different members of the administration, that were almost identical to the things that I heard the Ethiopian government saying against the Tigrayan people during the war. And then drawing those parallels to all the other atrocities we've seen in the world, whether we're talking about the Rwandan genocide, whether we're talking about the Holocaust, whether we're talking about the Native American genocide, like the tactics that are used are constantly replicated. And without being able to build those connections, we're never actually going to be able to stop it. And if we're actually serious about world peace and like trying to resolve these conflicts, we have to learn about all of these things in the context with which they exist versus pretending like these are isolated incidents.
Yeah. So a few weeks ago, you pulled off a shocking upset in a district where no Republicans won since 1970, D+29. The political machine assumed incumbent. Diane DeGette was untouchable. I mean, 1997.
Yeah.
I was 6 years old when she got into office. Instead, you crushed her at the Democratic Assembly. You took 67% of the delegate vote, and you forced her to barely scrape by with 33%. How did a 28-year-old barista and a PhD student out-organize a 30-year incumbent who has the entire Democratic establishment behind her? How did that happen?
Yeah. It happened in like 9 days. We actually almost didn't even go through the process. So Colorado has a mixed primary system where you can either collect signatures, about 1,500 signatures of registered Democrats, or you can go through the caucus and assembly process. And the caucus and assembly process, as much as I love it, as somebody who, you know, just loves the democratic process in general, it's inherently anti-democratic, right? It's something that it's like 3 different days over the course of 3 different weeks. It takes up 12 to 18 different hours, depending on which levels you go to. If you have an hourly wage job, if you have kids, if you just have a life and don't want to spend all that time participating in the process, you end up finding that it's mostly older, wealthier, more retired, conservative voices that are there, which is why it's such a incubator for protecting a lot of these incumbents. So we weren't going to do it, but we were collecting signatures to get on the ballot, and all these people were saying, I'm going to go caucus and I want to go caucus for you. And so we walked in, and I would say we probably already had like 50% of the room. But we were at South High School, which is where she went to high school. And there were a lot of people in the room that were her former classmates, friends of hers that I'd spoken with. And I extended my respect for her service and you know, how much she's done for our city, although I don't think it's nearly enough. And then when she came on, she like called me a liar for calling out the fact that she literally only takes corporate PAC money almost. And that didn't resonate with a lot of people. Even classmates of hers were like, that was not cool of her. And so then I think that's what got us the extra bump there too.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you ever wonder what is the reason why people still hold on to their firm grip of power after decades?
Ego, without question. I sincerely think most of these incumbents think no one could do this better than they could by virtue of the time that they spent there. Like the experience, the institutional knowledge of it is, you can't give that up in order to be productive. And I'm like, no, I actually think that's exactly why you're bad at your job now. That's the thing.
Institutional rot that sets in after decades and decades of doing this, which is supposed to be the opposite, right? You're supposed to be a more experienced legislator. And yet, I think year over year, and this is something that I talk to other politicians about as well, that like when you spend a good deal of time in DC, you realize that you have to make strategic choices.
Yeah.
And a lot of those strategic choices are actually concessions that you're making to corporate interests in general. And especially if you're, somewhat lazy. I'm not saying that she is or was, but it's the system is very turnkey. You have lobbyists that come to your office and say, look, not only will we give money to your campaigns so your seat is safe all the time, but we will also write the legislation for you. You don't want to read through all the paperwork.
Yeah.
Well, you're a lawyer. Do you like reading through the paperwork?
I do.
Okay.
I do. No, I tell people that all the time. I say this has nothing to do with the Congresswoman as a person or her character. This is a systemic issue where we've created this campaign finance structure where you have 2 years and you have this broad legislative agenda. You're not going to get it done in 2 years. So your number one priority is to get reelected.
Yeah.
The best way you're going to get reelected is by outspending your opponent.
Yeah.
The fastest way to fundraise without taking your eyes off of your legislative agenda is to go to the corporations and the wealthiest donors, get it done, and then keep it pushing without keeping in mind the influence, whether you see it or not consciously. It's there and it plays into your legislation. It plays into the relationships that you build while you're there. And you slowly become more corrupt and embedded into this, like you said, institutional rot.
So one of those big corporate donors for your opponent, Diane DeGette, is AIPAC. Although she stopped openly taking AIPAC money in 2022, her number one career donor is a firm chaired by a former AIPAC vice president. She's refused to sign on to the Block the Bombs bill, and she's voted in favor of Republican resolutions to continue supporting Israel's right to exist in its current form as an ethno-state. How do you believe your opponent accepting corporate PAC money influences her votes? And how do you differ on your stance with respect to U.S. aid to Israel between you and Diane DeGette?
Well, for one, I don't take corporate PAC money. I never will take corporate PAC money. And when it comes to aid to Israel, Israel as it exists today is an ethno-state that is engaging in occupation and apartheid of the Palestinian people. There is no justification for our taxpayer dollars supporting the ethnocracy that exists in Israel today. And until we see a secular, truly democratic state, right? We hear them say they're the only democracy in the Middle East. And it's like, that's just not true. When you have it in your constitution that the only group of people that have the right to self-determination are Israeli Jewish people, that's not a democracy. And so for our taxpayer dollars to be co-signing that is ridiculous.
Yeah. It's supposed to be a cherished position amongst liberal internationalists, like the humanitarian position, and yet many liberals fall short of that. So let me ask you.
Yeah.
Do you believe the U.S. should provide Israel with defensive weapons?
No.
Okay.
A weapon is a weapon.
It's interesting. Okay. It's good. I mean, I agree with it, but I feel like it's quite the controversial position for some weird reason. Okay. Do you believe in not only an arms embargo on Israel, which I assume you're in agreement with an arms embargo, you mentioned it. Do you believe in also implementing some semblance of accountability measures against Israel for the war crimes that it's engaged in and for the genocide of the Palestinian people?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are literal warrants out right now for Netanyahu's arrest, right? Like the only reason violence continues in the cycle that it often does is because there rarely ever is accountability for the perpetrators of that violence. And in order for there to be true resolution to what's happening right now, the people that perpetrated this have to be held accountable.
Yeah. By the way, some chatters are giving us open secrets FEC filing information. Diane DeGette's Q1 2026 FEC filing shows $340,621 in total itemized contributions. PACs and committees account for $245,765, or 72.2% of all itemized money. Individuals, on the other hand, have contributed 27.8% at $94,000. You have 100% of all of your contributions coming from.
We have a couple of unions that have donated as well, but yeah.
You're in the pocket of big unions, you're saying?
Yes.
You're admitting it right here.
Big unions. We love labor.
Okay.
And another thing, I don't know if it would count for the most recent filing, but we know also that less than 4% of her donors are grassroots donors, less than $200. Yeah. So it's mostly wealthier individuals that are donating to
The
her
PAC
campaign.
money concentrates heavily in two sectors for your opponent: healthcare and pharma companies, and healthcare professional associations. Combined healthcare connected PACs account for 106,500, representing 43% of all PAC contributions and roughly a third of everything to get raised this quarter. Do you feel like that impacts her decision on issues such as Medicare for all?
It's interesting, right? I think this is the frustration that I get with people like DeGette, where they cosplay as progressive, and so like she's a co-sponsor of it, despite doing zero to actually advance the legislation. But what she has advanced is the Kiros Act. It's this bill that she's really, really proud of, which was a massive giveaway to Big Pharma. Senator Warren, Senator Sanders both called it out as, this is just a payout to all of her donors. This does nothing for the consumers. And so, yeah.
Let's see. Well, let's look at DeGette's only congressional endorsements. Wait, hold on. How am I going to find this? This is tough.
This is insane.
What
is this website?
This is votehub.com 2026 endorsements. A fan in the stream, Andrew of episode 1, Notoriety, says, I'm a Colorado nurse who lives in Jefferson County and works in Aurora, but will she promise Denver County to get better food like Aurora has? In parentheses, most important.
Aurora is much more diverse than Denver is. Therefore, it has so much really unique food. But that's something we can share. We go back and forth between Denver and Aurora, and we get to enjoy the food. But Denver has incredible food. You're just not exploring it as much as you need to, Andrew.
Search is not working on this. Maybe I can do it here. Is that showing up? Oh, here it is. Oh, damn.
Oh, that's not true.
Diane DeGette endorsements. It might be past endorsements.
Maybe.
Is Diane DeGette a part of the Congressional Progressive Caucus?
She is.
Okay.
Yeah.
But she refused to sign on to block the bombs.
Yeah. In fact,
It's very interesting.
Yeah. She specifically called it. She's called it out. She's not a fan of the bill.
Okay. Are these might be old endorsements potentially?
Yeah, because we know for a fact she hasn't been endorsed individually by any of these people, but she has gotten the Progressive Caucus endorsement.
Oh, she did get the Progressive Caucus endorsement this time around as well.
This time around, yeah.
In spite of her reluctance to sign on to block the bombs. That's good. That's for me to remember when I have a conversation with Greg Kazar. Anyway, that's a totally separate thing. So let's get back to your opponent.
Yeah.
DeGette came out against the war on Iran and the $1 billion per day price tag. In a recent interview, you pointed out that she actually voted no on 10% Pentagon cuts in both 2020 and 2021.
Yeah.
If we were to cut the Department of War budget by 10%, what's your vision to repurpose that money? Where does it go?
I think it's got to go to Medicare for all. When we're talking about what are our values, what are our priorities, I think our budget is a reflection of our moral compass and what our priorities are for our society. And healthcare has to be at the top of that, especially now as people are getting crushed by healthcare costs, by medical debt. And I mean, that on top of the fact that the Pentagon has failed literally every single audit that they've ever had for 8 years now is ridiculous. And so, and mind you, 2020 and 2021, though the cut was meant to go towards pandemic spending. And as somebody who calls herself the #1 healthcare Democrat on the Hill, it's ridiculous. We had an opportunity to do it then and to also actually make a difference in undercutting the military-industrial complex that we have today.
Your opponent is CU Regent Wanda James, who's a wealthy weed entrepreneur.
One of the challengers, yeah.
Yeah. She bypassed grassroots assembly process completely by gathering signatures, likely by paying signature gatherers. She managed campaigns for Central Governor Jared Polis, served on Obama's finance committee, and worked as an executive for multiple Fortune 100 companies. Does her presence in this race come across like a deliberate attempt by the corporate wing of the party to provide a safe alternative to DeGette, specifically to fracture the vote and prevent an actual working class socialist from taking the seat? Or is the president of the race actually good for you?
Wanda is someone who I think there are a lot of Democrats right now that are trying to take advantage of the animosity a lot of people have for the party and the fact that a lot of people want change, but isn't offering anything that is actually change other than a different face, a fresh face. Whether or not she's doing it specifically, I think she wants to run because she wants to do good, but we have very, very, very different theories of change. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the intention is there.
Okay.
Can't speak for her.
Well over 100,000 people in Colorado's first congressional district work jobs that are prone to be automated away by company owners.
Yeah.
How should we protect working class Denverites from being entirely discarded by Silicon Valley in the next decade? And do you support data centers being built in Denver?
No. I have, Denver was one of the first cities to say that they wanted to put a moratorium out there. The mayor did recently. The city council is going to be voting on it soon. I think the moratorium on data centers is our leverage against a lot of these AI companies to force them to the table and finally get these regulations on the books, which are going to be necessary because of all of the threats that it poses, existential, but obviously also including to the economy, to the automation of jobs. But
what if we find out that it's actually it's a mechanism to displace the existing labor force?
Yeah.
And then more people get frustrated with AI. What then?
What then?
Yeah.
I mean, look, my opinion.
Why do you not care about Sam Altman's salary?
Look,
why are you putting people in Denver ahead of the needs of Sam Altman and Palantir and Palmer Luckey and numerous other wonderful, perhaps the most productive Americans?
The ones who feel like they're actually the ones that are coming in to save us.
Yeah, why do you hate success? That's what I should ask.
That's what it is. That's what it is. Look, at the end of the day, AI is going to be a technology. Like, it's literally, as we speak, finding proteins to create cures to diseases that we literally would not be able to do without our own computational ability. That being said, it's a tool, but it's a tool that can be used just like any other tool for good or for evil. And Sam Altman and Peter Thiel and all of these other jackasses, to be fair, I don't trust them. I don't trust their motivations. I don't trust what they would want to use this technology for. And I think it does have everything to do with replacing the workforce and replacing human labor as we have it today. And I think the only solution to that is guaranteeing basic needs like housing, healthcare, nutritional food, public education, transportation, access to internet. All of these things should be guaranteed regardless of where you live, what family you're born into, what wealth you're born into. All of those things should be guaranteed. And that's going to be the only way we can protect working people from this new technology.
So you're in favor of AI being utilized for boring things like biochemical research and not cool things like AI art.
AI art. We love AI art so much. Yeah, no, I fully, the other thing that we need to be doing with AI is making sure that, artists and people that, AI only exists because it's learning from our ingenuity, our creations this entire time. And yet no one is getting paid back for all of that labor that created everything it's learning from in the first place. So there has to be some kind of mechanism to make sure folks are being compensated for their contribution to these learning models.
What about AI being used as a mechanism to advance surveillance?
Yeah, that's one of my surveillance, and then war also, right?
Yeah.
Like there was some reporting that indicated that the bombing of that school in Iran could have been because of some kind of discrepancy with AI. And there is too much at stake when it comes to our privacy, when it comes to just world relations in general and foreign policy, that we cannot allow this technology to continue until we all just sit down. And I don't know how Bernie described it earlier in the week, but like just slow down for a second and let's figure this out, because we don't even know how this technology works. The people running it don't even know how it works. And there's just too much at risk for us to not figure this out first.
Also, hopefully we can put a moratorium on people using ChatGPT, because I personally hate the way ChatGPT speaks.
How does it
with
speak?
the M dash and the constant juxtaposition.
Yeah.
Where
Starts with the negative, ends with the positive.
You're not just brilliant, but you're exceptional. I hate that. I hate the way the AI speaks.
But I do feel like it's interesting because we're all starting to catch it now.
Yes, people are doing it. Now normies are talking like that. And I don't know if it's like AI psychosis. I don't know what's going on. But I've become a Luddite. I don't know. Maybe I'm a boomer. Well, you're younger than I am. So if you also share the same resentment, then I feel a little bit better.
Maybe we'll be okay. We'll be okay.
Okay. Over a third of Denver residents are paying more than 30% of their income just to keep a roof over their heads. While developers and corporate landlords rake in record profits, the state legislature is trying to pass zoning reforms like the Home Act, but you've advocated for massive federal housing first initiatives. What specific, first, what are those initiatives? And also, what specific federal levers can a member of Congress pull to decommodify the housing market and crush the parasitic corporate real estate speculation that is choking working families?
Yeah. Well, so a lot of working families, I would say, there are a lot of folks that are paying upwards of like 50% of their income to be able to afford their housing right now. And 30% is where it's supposed to be safe. And the only way that we can get there is by completely reimagining our housing structure. And so part of my PhD program, some of my research was specifically focused on looking at different models of how housing operates in different countries. And Housing First, which ironically actually started in New York City, is the most successful way to actually eradicate homelessness in the way that we understand it here in America. Finland was literally able to eradicate homelessness because of the way that they run Housing First. And that has
We're in California. When you say that, we think of Gavin Newsom literally physically eradicating the homeless.
And so in Denver,
so you gotta be specific.
I know, it's Denver too.
Like they put homeless people in homes.
Yes.
Okay.
Denver also has a Housing First program that isn't actually part that uses the actual pillars of Housing First. And so I do want to speak specifically to what those initiatives are. And the first thing is that, just like you said, it's just you give people homes, right? We have this staircase model largely across the country where you have to get a job first, or you have to pass a drug test first, or you have to pass this mental health test first, or whatever the case is, before you can get stable and supportive housing. And that's just not how it works, right? Pragmatically speaking, biologically speaking, housing and shelter is a basic need for which you can build everything else on top of. And so that has to be the first pillar. The second pillar is that we just have a deficit in affordable housing, period. We just need to build more affordable housing. And there are a lot of folks that, you know, the abundance bros and all of those conversations about what that... But here's the thing. And I say this about everything, right? There's never
also,
a perspective.
Your state is led by an abundance bro.
Yeah, don't get me started on Polis. Please don't get me started on Polis.
Do you think it should be illegal for a governor to also be a Redditor? And why is the answer yes?
I didn't know he was a Redditor, but that doesn't surprise me. I knew he was online. I knew he was chronically online.
You didn't know Jared Polis was a Redditor?
I didn't know he was a Redditor. I try not to pay as much attention to him anymore.
He sounds like he just is the perfect embodiment of a Redditor in real life.
Okay, well, now the more you know. Yeah. I did not know he was a Redditor.
I think it should be illegal. Would you would you be in support of?
Please don't get me on the books banning people from Reddit from running.
Do you think that Jared Polis, as the moderator on r/neoliberalism, a subreddit that
he's an actual moderator?
Yes. That I think should be made illegal. Would you be in support of banning Jared Polis's Reddit account if you were to get to Congress?
Oh my God. By the time I get to Congress, he'll be out. So I'm gonna take that divine timing there.
What was it? He also was like, I really like RFK Jr.
Yes.
What the fuck
No, that was insane. It was out of nowhere. It was a random tweet. And he was just like, I actually think he's got some good ideas. I think it'll be fine. And then everyone descended on him and he came back with some kind of explanation, but it was ludicrous. That's what he does.
Why is he like that?
I don't know. I think he's a reactionary sometimes, but he's an interesting. I mean, he's a centimillionaire. He has vetoed multiple times the Worker Protection Act because Colorado is one of the few states that requires a second vote in order to be able to unionize. And he's vetoed that multiple times. He vetoed a bill that would have banned, rigging prices algorithmically for rent. He's just not. He's not a very friendly guy for labor. Is this his Reddit?
Yeah. So I don't think he mods r/neoliberal any longer.
Okay.
but he used to be, yes.
It sounds like someone else beat you to the punch and getting him banned from doing it.
Yeah, no. See, you could have just taken ownership of that. Yeah, he's no longer a mod at r/neoliberal, which is unfortunate. Anyway, okay, yeah. What's up with Jared Polis? I don't understand. I mean, he's a
libertarian.
He's an interesting figure, though. On the one hand, because he's a libertarian, he's like he also is like very pro immigration.
Yeah.
And like Colorado has become like this safe haven in some respects as well. Right? There's some interesting initiatives
Denver
that are being utilized in Denver. As far
our
as
mayor's really strong, I would say, when it comes to welcoming immigrants and making sure it's a sanctuary city.
Jared Polis unironically responds in r/Denver circle jerk.
Jesus.
That's incredible.
Oh my gosh. He is a chronically online. There's a local podcast that had an episode talking about his online history. I mean, it goes back.
Why do you
years.
think his posts keep getting banned by moderators? I'm seeing a lot of posts where he's just like, oh, there it is. r/neoliberal. One of the biggest self-inflicted wounds in American history is nearly upon us. Tariffs. Most people, I mean, I don't even disagree. Although I am in favor of trade protectionism when there is trade to be protected. I think the tariffs that Trump was implementing were disastrous. I do think it's really funny that this is probably the thing that he is the most concerned with, though, because this is like ideologically a nightmare for guys like Jared Polis.
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
Goodness
Stop stalking Reddit bros trying to explain housing models. I know. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Let's talk about housing. Because housing is, I think housing is my number one thing.
Yeah.
Because it's the foundation for literally everything.
Yeah, let's talk more about housing. So I do feel like a lot of people, even like the most progressive congresspersons in general, I think fall short of what's necessary, what needs to be done when it comes to housing in this country.
Yeah.
Are you in favor of moving towards a model where we don't see housing as a speculative asset, but more so just shelter to live in?
Yeah. I think the only way we do that is with massive, massive federal investment.
You're going to give Jared Polis an aneurysm with that take.
Jared Polis will be out of office by the time we win this election.
He's going to write a lot of posts on our
100% he will. But at the end of the day, the fact of the matter is the data is on our side, which is that the most effective way to address the housing problem is to just give people housing and to make sure that we are requiring a steady supply of affordable housing for every single locale, which I think is at the very least 30% of housing, while also still providing social housing to anybody who needs it. And that just requires a lot of federal investment. The thing about housing is that it's one of the only things we've not gotten more productive at building in like the last 6 decades or so. And when you're not getting better at building it or faster at building it, but the costs continue to rise for the stuff, the materials, the labor, that's where you're starting to see it becoming even more expensive outside of just the fact that we do use housing as an investment vehicle as well.
Yeah.
And so removing all of the things that allow that to be a commodity rather than a basic need as it should be is going to be a part of that. And again, it's just going to be massive federal investment. And I think that's the responsibility of government.
Okay. Moving away from housing, let's talk about another issue that's impacted Denver, Colorado, but all around the country, ICE.
Yeah.
ICE is a violent paramilitary force and it's ripping families apart, shipping detainees to faraway lands like CCOT and also Congo as well. Your father came to this country through the diversity visa lottery, which Trump has tried to gut.
He has gutted.
Has gutted and brought you here as an infant in 1998. What's your vision for abolishing ICE?
Yeah. I mean, it's just that we abolish ICE. This is an agency that started in 2003. We had immigration enforcement before ICE existed. We'll have it after it exists. But the thing that I don't think we talk enough about is also what that reform is going to look like. Abolishing ICE is just one step, right? Democrats have been in power multiple times over the last few decades and did nothing to address the immigration reform that we actually
ICE
need.
Expenditures, increased spending.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I think there has to be an immediate pathway for every single undocumented immigrant that's here in this country today that does not require them to shell out thousands of dollars to go through the process, for it to take decades at a time to be able to get to citizenship, an immediate pathway to citizenship, and then just reallocating those resources where they need to be, right? Whether that's more immigration judges, whether that's more people that can go through the caseloads, it's not nearly as efficient as it should be. And we're just creating the conditions for the problems that we're seeing right now that they're trying to solve with ICE. This is a resource issue at the end of the day, and also a values issue. Like what kind of a country do we want to be? I want to be the kind of country where my dad was really proud and excited to immigrate to this country to be able to build a new life.
Yeah. Do you also support Denver resident? Well, do you support, I mean, you already said it for both Israel and somewhat said it for ICE as well, but do you support not just abolishing ICE, but also holding members of the administration and its loyal soldiers accountable for crimes that they may have committed while working for ICE?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, taking back the House might be a little bit harder as of recent events, but I still think it's doable. And, hopefully taking the Senate, although that's even going to be harder, but that has to be our number one concern, is making sure that we're holding all of these administration officials accountable. And especially with ICE, prosecuting every single agent that infringed on people's rights, that killed literal Americans. Like it's absolutely ridiculous that we're allowing this to happen in the first place. And when we take back power, that has to be our number one priority.
What's your vision for America's role in the world? Let's talk foreign policy a little bit. How would you define American leadership in the modern day? And what principles would guide your foreign policy decisions? And would you do a nuclear first strike on Iran?
Jesus. No, let's start there. I think,
it was a question that Tim Walz had to answer in the vice presidential debate. I had to hit a mainstream media take.
Okay, fair enough. You got
in
that
between
in there.
that.
No, I think going back to immigration, even, America has been such a destabilizing force for so long that we've created conditions in other countries that have made the crisis that we see in immigration today as well. When I think about our role, so many people want America to be like the world's police, that want to be the one that's like in charge of doing. That's ridiculous to me. And especially when we talk about how our climate crisis, all of the endless wars that we've been dragged into, all of them coming from this neoliberal perspective that I don't believe in. I really don't. And when I think about what is going to be required, not only for us to address climate change, for us to address, the global economy and our role in being such an extractive and exploitative player, I think is going to require more diplomacy, more cooperation, and less of the exploitative, I think, tactics we've been using as of late.
What do you think about China? What's your stance on America's current economic warfare with China? Do you feel like this is productive? Do you feel like we should be fighting harder against China, a country responsible for 30% of all of our trade?
I will always lead with diplomacy first. I will always lead with cooperation first. The fact of the matter is, everything is viewed from this lens of combativeness, and as if we are not literally all in this, global economy together and have to figure out ways to be able to participate and collaborate and cooperate in meaningful ways for the good of everybody. That's not everybody's first instinct, I think. And especially when we've created all of these systems that benefit from this combative relationship. Obviously, those are big problems that are going to take big solutions.
So no nuclear first strike on China either.
Fuck the nukes.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
I'm a little bit confused because, that's
the normie
that's
position.
usually what I hear from Democrats is like, someone's got to get nuked. We have all these nuclear arms. Like, why can't we use them?
Did you see that movie on Netflix? It was a movie recently that talked about what it would look like if there was a nuclear strike, I think on like Chicago. And like the whole point.
Interests of their constituents.
Yeah.
And I think that's a major problem. And this is why it's like perfectly demonstrative of the way that a lot of congressional representatives become a product of these corporate influences and even the influence of foreign lobbies.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. Diana DeGette was a real champion for reproductive justice, for environmental justice. I think I know people who know her. I think she's a good person. But again, when you're talking about these issues that there clearly is no actual conviction that they have themselves for what they think should be happening. Like she says, I believe that everybody there has the right to dignity and to safety and to life, and to not have that introspection to examine what her policies and her votes have done to lead to the continued destruction and death that we're seeing in Palestine is where I think a lot of Denverites get incredibly frustrated.
Yeah, I think this is a major problem with politicians in general, like with the Democratic Party currently.
Yeah.
And that's precisely what, like, at least I hear from a lot of voters all around the country is like they have no conviction, they have no backbone, they're feckless, they don't want to fight against the Republicans.
Yeah.
I mean, it was Ta-Nehisi Coates who said it perfectly. He said, like, how can you expect a party that won't stop a genocide to actually defend democracy? And we're seeing that. We've seen that for the last 2 years. So I think that change is a must. It's a necessity to preserve what remains of American theoretical democracy to begin with.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, thank you so much for coming. I'm going to give you guys some additional information here real quick. The voter registration deadline in person is June 30th, 2026. By mail is postmarked by June 22nd, 2026. For online, voter registration deadline is June 22nd, 2026 as well. You can engage in absentee mail-in voting available to all voters, at least for the time being, until Donald Trump abolishes that. Unless
we get an 8-0 map.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
Yeah. The absentee mail-in ballot return deadline in person is June 30th, 2026. By mail, received by June 30th, 2026. Early voting is available to all voters. And the early voting start and end dates are June 22nd, 2026 to June 30th, 2026. And polls are open on election day from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Mountain Time.
We have gifts for you.
You have gifts for me. Okay. Wow. Oh, wow. Oh, hell yeah. Denver Democratic Socialists of America. I'm collecting these hats.
We got, I don't know. We have so many people at Denver DSA that love watching your stream and like picked out these shirts for you and got you that custom hat. So we got some.
Oh, it's a custom hat.
It's a custom hat.
You can't even get this, chat.
No. So some t-shirts.
That's crazy.
And then this is our mascot. This is the Denver DSA mascot. It's a pika.
Wow.
So obviously we named it Hasan Pika.
Oh
so
my God. This is so cute.
Isn't it cute? It's native to the Rocky Mountains and it collects flowers and obviously the rose. So yeah.
No way.
So you will maybe get some more t-shirts and stuff if you come out to Denver.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come and join us it's the 12th largest chapter in the country.
Wow.
Bernie and AOC brought out like 30 something thousand people that were out there. Like Denver, I think I don't
think I can do that.
Well, maybe not 30,000.
Maybe not 30,000.
But I think, it's a bastion of really progressive socialist values that would be really cool to do something out there. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm down for sure. If you guys have any events that you are organizing around like college campuses or anything like that, I could definitely
let's do it.
Pull up on something like that.
Let's do it.
You're going to get a lot of people are going to yell at you, though. They're going to say, I'm a big meanie. I'm very vulgar and just bad in general.
A potty mouth, I think, is what I'm going to hear. But no, it's going to be really cool. So come out and join us. Thank you so much for having us.
This was
so
great.
Cool.
Thank you so much
and thank you
for
for the
coming.
chips.
Of course.
Appreciate it. Thank you.